Greg, this is so ridiculous, Greg. You're ignoring what the MLS did for 40 years and saying it's this guy's fault. Like, come on now.
Well, Andy just laid out, like, we didn't have anything like this in for all these other initiatives. This has been
but I think what it boils down to is the trying to control. Yes, listings should be submitted into the MLS system, right? When you take it, shared amongst the cooperative.
Why?
Because to be a broker cooperative, there has to be certain rules.
I understand, but why? Why should a broker have to enter a listing?
No, they can not join the MLS, Rob. That's the
okay.
I know it's a labor union.
To the MLS then.
You think it's a labor
Rob,
union?
that's a fair point. That's a fair point. And under mandatory submission,
they have rankings of the brokers, how long you've been there, all that
Greg
kind of shit.
Greg is so involved in like labor union talk and tribes and us versus them. You're missing the point that I'm trying to make.
This is Industry Relations, a podcast at the intersection of real estate and technology from an insider's perspective. Sponsored by Cotality. Stay tuned to learn more with Rob Hahn and Greg Robertson.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Industry Relations with Rob and Greg. This is your host, the notorious Rob. And as always, my amazing host, the fabulous Greg Robertson, who is recently back from a major triumph, taking over another major industry conference.
Well, I wouldn't call it taking it over, but agreements were signed. It's all good, and very excited to kind of carry on the spirit of what Greg and Matt at Clarity started, and welcoming Cotality over to MLS Reset. We're really, I think it's it'd be good for the industry as well. The reception from everybody's been great. So
100%. I mean, you might have to move the hotel now, because it's going to be a lot bigger, a lot more people.
Well, we only used that like 3/4 of the ballroom last time, so we got room. Right?
You got room? All right,
yeah.
All right. But I'm just pointing out, just logically speaking, when that event no longer happens, but yours does, I call that a taking over.
You can say whatever you want there. Speaking of taking over, I'll throw something at your side. You got a webinar coming up. We'll put that in the show notes.
Sure.
For MLSs, so if they're keen to do that, please.
You're gonna let me pimp out my webinar, I guess we don't. I guess we have a sponsor, but all right. So maybe we'll talk about that towards the end. But I do think we want to get right into the conversation. We have a very, very special guest with us. Without further ado, let us introduce Mr. Andy Woolley. He's the Vice President of Industry at Homes.com. A long time and good friend of the program. I still think his roast of you is one of the highlights of my time in real estate.
I'll put a link in the show notes to that too. That was
you were in the roast too, Rob.
Was I?
Yep.
I just wasn't.
Both
in the
of us
room.
were being eaten alive by cats.
Oh, and look at this! And
I did bring a hat so I could fit in with you guys.
That's right. Right on.
In honor of USA Baseball being in the gold medal game this week, the World Baseball Classic.
Right on.
It's amazing to me, knowing you as well as I do, Andy, that you actually found a hat that fits over that head.
7 3/4, baby. 7 3/4.
Because you're so smart, I'll put that in.
Yeah,
there.
I got to have all that knowledge up there.
That's right. That's
I didn't bring the headphones though. But.
Yeah, it's all good. Everything's good. So, Greg, I think we're gonna let you kick off the conversation. Because that's what the idea here is.
Well, I have one more little bit of trivia here, just so you guys know. 86 is the number, right?
What's that?
What?
Chuck Norris just died at 86.
Yes.
Okay, so Chuck, if he can't make it past 86, just subtract your age from that, and that's how long we got. So,
thanks, motherfucker. Thanks.
Act accordingly.
So that's 12 for you, Greg.
Yeah, there's a lot of gray in your beard, buddy.
I didn't need that, man. I mean, I met Sonny too late in my life to I want another 20, 30 years after that. Shit.
Yeah, well, let's get into it. We had a little pre-conference here before the pod, and I think it's so much change that's happened in the last week. So many moves and counter moves. And, of course, we're talking about the recent agreements that's been put together by Zillow and EXP and Compass and everything here. I thought, hey, having three people that follow this very closely, and then also somebody who's in the mix like Andy can share some insights of what that was about, that we kind of start talking about this. And I think the thing we want to first talk about is I don't think this was announced after our last pod, Rob, was the announcement of Redfin and Compass's deal, right? The fact that now their listings are going to show on their coming soon listings, I guess, as they're calling, are going to be coming up on Redfin. And I believe that's an exclusive deal, right?
I believe so. That is what I've heard.
Andy, that's exclusive. Do you remember that or?
Yeah. Well, what is exclusive?
Yeah.
Oh, we'll get into it.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's do it.
Right. Well, but then that was kind of quickly followed by Zillow announcing, and I think these are again exclusive deals with Remax, not Better Homes, but Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, United Real Estate, Side. Am I missing anybody?
KW.
Keller
KW,
Williams.
of course.
You're missing the big one, the
Yeah,
flagship.
that's
That's what
right.
they led with. Yeah.
Yeah, and that again being an exclusive deal. And I'll just throw the grenade in the mix here. And again, it goes back to Andy's thing, exclusive. But so brokers getting together, signing agreements to work together in certain ways that other brokers aren't. Is that colluding? Are we
Oh,
in
my
an
fucking God.
antitrust territory kind of
Greg,
vibe here?
Greg. I'm sorry, I have to interrupt. You also forgot the announcement by EXP that came out.
Oh no,
shortly
but no, I
thereafter.
wanted. That's not exclusive. I was
Right, exactly.
I was separating them on purpose.
Oh, okay, got it.
I'm
You
separating
only
them on
talk about the
purpose, right? Because
exclusive.
those
Got it.
were exclusive deals.
Got it.
The deal with EXP is non-exclusive, right?
Got
So
it.
I just want to first talk about whether we think that. I mean, because if I was just saying this to somebody, it sounds like colluding. It sounds like a cartel. It sounds like, I mean, all the words that were leveled against the industry before. What do you call that? I mean, you're a former attorney, not anybody who's on the podcast, but as you like to say. But is there an argument there?
Who are you asking?
I'm asking Rob.
Oh, no, there's no fucking argument there. What's their market share?
Zillow's market share?
No, those guys.
Well, I mean, it's
The
Compass
brokers
and
who are
it's
getting
Zillow. I mean,
together.
Zillow's in it. Yeah, they're a broker.
But Zillow's not they're not the ones getting together. I mean, you're saying is like these brokers getting together and colluding.
Well, it's Zillow, Remax, Berkshire Hathaway,
Okay,
United,
Remax,
Side.
Berkshire right. Put them all together, what's their market share?
Don't know.
It's not 50%.
Okay.
It doesn't
So,
even,
so
it
the
doesn't
fact
come
that it's not 50%, that doesn't cross the line into
If you're not a
vertical
monopoly, then what are we talking about here?
right.
So start there.
Okay.
But so no, it's a non. And even if it were, that I think it's probably okay. But that's beside the point.
Okay.
I mean, Andy, if you have thoughts on it,
Well, I wonder what exclusive means. Does that prohibit any agent from posting their pre-marketing listings to another site? How do you prohibit an agent? How do you prohibit the seller that's making the decisions that the agent is executing on from choosing where they want to market their listing? So I think when they call it exclusive, I think what that means is the feed that the brokerage is providing. But I don't think they could preclude an agent if they want to list or market their property on another website.
So the legal answer is they can. The practical answer is they won't. Right? The legal answer being that the broker owns the listing. And this is one of the things that we confuse. Like when we say agent, the agent is not the agent of the consumer. The agent is the agent of the broker, who is in fact the agent of the consumer. So in theory, the broker could say, nope, you are not allowed to do that. Practically speaking, that agent will immediately jump ship to a competing broker. So therefore, no broker, I think, will actually do that. But so you're sort of correct. Practically speaking, Andy, there's no brokers. Like if, I don't know, some Compass agent says, well, I'm putting with this listing on Zillow, I don't imagine them going, oh, no, you can't do that. But you're right. It's the feed. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So why do you think they wanted to use the word exclusive in that? I mean, they could have defined it a little better. And then this goes to Andy. Why were you guys very, and I guess it maybe came from Leo or EXP, that it was non-exclusive? That was a really big part of your announcement. I mean, what's the reasons there, you think?
Well, I think that was a decision made by EXP, right? They decided that they didn't want to bind their agents to exclusively list on one platform. And so they made the decision that and I think, I saw I think it was a LinkedIn post, something where Leo was very expressive about it not being exclusive and the reasons why.
And so that deal was between EXP, Homes.com, Realtor.com. Who was it? Anybody else, or was just those main two?
Well, the deal was between us and EXP, and
Right.
then EXP signed a deal with
Right.
Realtor.com, and I think another smaller one.
Yeah. So how long do these kind of things take to happen? I mean, because what it seems from the outside looking in is like Compass makes a move, and then 2 days later, Zillow makes the move, and then I mean, it's like, do you think have these queued up and like you have your own way of you want to announce it, but because of these other things, you got to like hurry it up, or what's any back story kind of thing you can give our listeners about that, Andy?
The timing of the announcements was interesting because, I mean, I think I had given you our embargoed press release, maybe even before Zillow had announced theirs. So we were prepared. Maybe it was right after. We were prepared to announce ours. The timing was either coincidental or whatever. But the planning of this, I mean, I know that I'm quite confident Zillow's planning goes back pretty far. I know our planning goes back pretty far, and it goes back. The reason it goes back far is you get to a point where you're starting to recognize that, hey, what percentage of the listing inventory might we be missing out on because of the changes that MLSs are making to what they're allowing for pre-marketing, right? And if we want to dive, do we want to dive right into that right now?
Yeah,
or are you still laying the groundwork?
No, go ahead. No, I mean, we're gonna get to Zillow Preview after this, but go ahead.
Yeah, well, first let's level set on some terminology, right? Because there's so many different terms for these types of listings, and I think that's partly to blame for the divisiveness that this has caused, right? So in my mind, you have private, right? Which, Greg, you in particular have been very vocal about against private, right?
Yeah.
You then have this kind of the life cycle of a listing, and not every listing goes through the same life cycle.
Non-cooperating private, yeah.
So private is private, meaning it's not on Homes, it's not on Zillow, it's not on it's on the brokerage's site only, and oftentimes password protected, right?
Right, not publicly marketed.
Yeah, now it may be in an MLS, right? But it's not disseminated amongst the MLS members, and it's not distributed through IDX, right? Then you have pre-marketing, the next phase, right? Pre-marketing terminology varies widely amongst MLSs, right? Many call it coming soon. Some call it office exclusive, which is kind of a strange term because it's not really exclusive to any particular office. But these terms have sort of been recycled over the years, and we wind up with these strange terms that aren't very descriptive of what they actually mean. So pre-marketing, what we see in our numbers is about 80% of the MLSs. 80% of the MLSs have a pre-marketing status that does not have restrictions on public marketing. About half of those 80% distribute that pre-marketing status through IDX. Okay. So that's about 40% of MLSs that have a pre-marketing status that's distributed through IDX. Okay, so we have private, we have pre-marketing. After that is full exposure, right? Full MLS activation, full
IDX.
Exposure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's active, it's in IDX. So to me, those are kind of, if we can level set on that terminology.
Yeah, okay, no, that's good. That's good for the
categories,
discussion.
right?
I'm a word nerd too, so yeah.
So when we looked at the market, and look, our job is to promote agents and brokers, listings, and their brands, right? We are a advertising platform to promote agents and brokers and their listings. And we're selling advertising solutions to help them do that. One of the things we sell is the Homes.com membership that promotes all of the agents' listings. If that's our job, that's the value we're providing to agents, and we get our listings through IDX feeds from 530 MLSs, if we're missing 10 to 15% of an agent's listings and we're providing that service, then that service, we need all the listings to be able to provide that service, right? So traditionally, the way I see the roles, right? And Rob, you're probably going to argue with my terminology of how I use agent, given what you described earlier. But the roles are, the seller determines how they're going to market the property in consultation with their agent. The agent then executes on those decisions. And then from there, when it comes to listing distribution for marketing that listing, traditionally that role has been facilitated by the MLS, right? But and that's how we get our listings through IDX. it's a decision made by the seller, executed by the agent, facilitated by the MLS. But if there's MLSs for their, and I'm not criticizing MLSs here, I'm just saying if they have rules where they have pre-marketing statuses that are allowed to be publicly marketed, but they're not facilitating distribution of those listings through IDX, then we have to find a way to get those listings, because our job is to promote those listings on behalf of our customers on homes.com. So we looked at the marketplace. I'm still on the planning of this, right? We looked at the market and we decided, hey, we think there's 10 to 15% of the listings that are allowed to be publicly marketed, that exist in the MLS system in this pre-marketing phase, and that aren't, the MLS is not facilitating distribution of those to homes.com. We need to figure out how to get those. So the most obvious mechanism is, let's go to the brokerage and let's see if the brokerage can facilitate that. Okay. So that is what our new pre-marketing plan is, right? And EXP is the first national partner. So we're not bypassing MLSs. We're not doing anything like that.
I mean, you're doing listing input, right?
We don't have listing input right now into homes.com. There's no way for an agent to input a list. I'm not saying that we're
you're
ruling
taking
that
a
out for the
feed
future,
from, you're taking input of listings from a broker into your system.
Correct. Through brokerage feeds.
Through brokerage feeds. That's a version of listing input.
Well, can I ask a question, though?
Direct.
Andy? So I've been theorizing about this for a while, but I don't actually have any data. Do you have any data on how many brokerages have feeds?
Very few.
It's not very few anymore. The larger, the ones that we're talking to so far are the larger ones, and they absolutely have a way to facilitate a feed to homes.com.
I guess so I don't know the number of brokers. I think one figure was like 98,000 brokerages, whatever, right? But you look at a typical MLS and they might have 1,500 brokerage participants, but it's a really steep curve,
Yep.
right? So the top 10, do like 50% of the business, and then it's a bunch of small guys. Do those
They
small
don't have the
guys,
technology staff to do it, yeah.
that was my question. Do those small guys have feeds?
The small guys do not have a way to facilitate a feed to us.
Okay.
So there may be a need in the future for us to provide the ability for those agents to load those directly into our system.
Right, which is the listing input. Right.
But listen, every agent that's a member of every brokerage that's a member of an MLS, agents that are members of MLSs, there's rules. They have to follow those rules, right? This is in no way incentivizing agents to bypass those rules. No way incentivizing agents to load them here first before it goes. The easiest way for us to get listings, and one of the reasons we've been silent on this whole tussle over private listings and pre-marketing listings for as long as we have, the only way to get a listing on homes.com still today is to put it into the MLS first, and it gets distributed to us. Soon, EXP listings will be able to come directly to us. Now, as soon as those listings are activated in the MLS, they no longer update from the EXP feed. They now update from the MLS feed. Okay? So if I strongly have encouraged every MLS that we've talked to, if you have a pre-marketing status that is not currently distributed through IDX, please put a homes.com publish option in your listing input so that you give agents the ability, and I don't care who else you put in there, but I'm saying put a homes.com one in there, because they may want to market that listing in pre-marketing status on homes.com. And we can go into the value the reasons why we think that
but I mean,
the value that we provide agents in pre-marketing stage. But
is this just a whole situation that the MLS industry brought upon itself, right? I mean, for not, to me, this goes back to the question of, are we now a listing platform, or are we a cooperative? Because it sure as hell is looking like we're leaning towards a listing platform and not a cooperative, right? And I'll just say it. I think it's a lack of courage, right? I mean, they're just suspending the beliefs and the value and the original mission of an MLS because they're being bullied. And honestly, to me, they're being bullied by one person. I can't believe one person is really driving this whole thing there that nobody wants to stick up to or something. But I just feel like, if they would just, and maybe NAR has also gotten out of this thing, right, too, which is make it, it's all be decentralized. But, we fucked around and found out, basically. I think.
Tell me your definition of the difference between a listing platform and a brokerage cooperative.
Okay, let me see if I can put it some way.
I love this. I'm so enjoying this right now.
Well, I mean, I think when you join a cooperative,
The good news here, Rob, is I know I don't have to be right. I don't have to make good predictions
fuck you.
that are accurate, and I don't have to be right, and then I fit in perfectly. Although your predictions from last year, a lot of them have already come true. So anyhow,
all my
sidetrack.
predictions are just a little early. That's all. except for the iBuyer one. That one was just dead wrong.
Okay, Greg, I want to hear this.
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
difference
I mean,
between-
so to me, it's like we get into a cooperative because we think like, okay, I may not get everything that I want, right? But we're going to put some sort of guardrails in place so that I'm going to be able to do the things that I want to do. But maybe I'm not going to be able to do everything. But the whole of this being managed by something that we all agree to on a certain set of principles is going to keep all of us from killing each other, right? And that to me is a thing there. If this is just a technology stack to let me just put in listings and everybody can kind of view them in inner ways, because what bugs me now is that, like for Compass, for instance, how did they get the listing? Right? How do they get these listings, these private listings a lot of time? Well, they probably made a CMA. Okay, so how did they get the CMA? Well, they got the CMA from the MLS, which is a cooperative where everybody contributed everything, and they were able to use that. But now they don't want to do the other thing, right? This cooperative stuff works for me sometimes, but I don't want to do it all the time, right? I want to just take this and that. That's not what being a part of a cooperative is, right? That's not it. You can't just choose to be, I love cooperation. This is great. And like, not anymore. I got mine. Right. And that's what that's to me the main thing here is that, and then the thing is, what's tough is that if you're running the cooperative, right, that's a tough gig. I've always said this about MLX. I have no idea how they do their job because they got all these competing, cooperating people. And that is just saying it out loud is like, how the fuck do you manage that?
Brutal.
Right?
Yeah.
And I remember being at a gathering of Eagles once, and who was that famous guy that used to run before it was Berkshire Hathaway? Big broker.
The ran Gathering of Eagles?
Yeah. No. It was a broker, one of the bigger brokers out there, old school guy. Anyway, he said like
Ron Peltier.
yes,
Yeah,
Ron
yeah,
Peltier.
yeah.
Good pull there, Ron.
I could see his face. You know? Yeah.
He got up and says, I like the analogy of an eagle in Eagles here, because eagles are fierce, they're independent, but you know what they can also do? They can be ruthless. They can be petty. They can be those things. And we've got to watch out in our industry for both the sides of things, right? It's a tough gig, and it needs leaders that have courage to be able to do these things and make these decisions and stand up to this, of some of these things going on. Or, maybe we do decide that we're a platform. Okay, well then, that's what we're going to get, and we're going to get where now I have to go to 17 sites, in order to get the full picture of the market, right? And that's what this is. This is what we're reaping what we sow here by not sticking up or not making a stand earlier on, right? It's like, I've said this before. It's like Robert Redfin has gone to the industry, going to the MLS industry, I'm going to eat you. And then the industry goes, would you like salsa with that? Can I put some salt and pepper on us? Is that okay, Robert? Is that good enough for you? How about if we get some appetizers here first?
I like your description of and I agree with most of that. Here's my question: do you think that to be a broker cooperative, do you think that the broker cooperative has to have rules around how the property is marketed once it's inputted into the MLS system?
Yes.
Why?
I think as far as like, if you're going to contribute and take advantage of all the listings in one place for other parts of the transaction, like I said, on the listing presentation and other things you're doing for analysis and everything else, then then we all got to agree. Once we market those things, we're all working on the same rules.
So I would like to make a couple points. Number one,
you're very silent. That makes me nervous, Rob. So
it should
it's
make
like
you
you're
nervous.
taking it all in, bro.
Number one,
I'm going to shut up because the more I talk, the more wrong I get.
No, it's not even that. Number one, I don't think I could describe any MLS in the country today as a broker cooperative.
Northwest MLS.
I don't think they're cooperative. How is their board selected?
Well, they're broker
Who
owned.
owns it?
The brokers.
I know, but that's not a cooperative. Cooperative is a very specific thing. Like if your governance has very little to do
You
with
do this all.
brokers-
You come up like some some angle on language or words or something.
The words mean something. Like the Orange Cooperative
so
down
you
in
have
Florida.
you
works
have
a
another
certain way.
definition of what you think
Yeah,
cooperative.
so when you have a
means.
board
Okay,
of
go ahead.
directors that ignores what the brokers want, that's not a cooperative. It just isn't. Period. Right? And most MLSs have these realtor association appointed, whatever. That's not a broker cooperative in any significant sense of the term. That's number one. Number two, what you said about cooperative, to me, Greg, it sounds more like a labor union, not a cooperative. Like you join the labor union, therefore you're going to follow the rules of the union. Like, all right, you could do that. That's fine. It's worked fine for 40 years or whatever. So I guess the reason why I'm saying this is what I find so fascinating about what you just said, Greg, and so to both of you guys, I have written this passage over and over in my blog over the years, okay? Do you guys remember Jeffrey Lewis, the former general counsel of RE/MAX?
Yep.
Do you remember when he went on Capitol Hill at the congressional hearing and then he appeared at the DOJ FTC study group thing back in, I think that was in 2007 timeframe?
Yeah, I was there.
Right.
Daniel Castro, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Here's what he said at those events. Here's what he said. The MLS was designed as a B2B vehicle, not a business to consumer vehicle. It was designed as a mutual sharing of information by industry peers to facilitate the sale and search for properties. The idea was that cooperating brokers and agents would work to earn their own customers using their own assets and then share listings via the MLS. The concept is simple. You earn a customer, you get to use the MLS with the customer. The concept is not, you get free access to the MLS, and then you use it to advertise the properties of your competitors in order to attract customers. That was Jeffrey Lewis then, right? And IDX was around, but it wasn't, this is like 2005, 2006, right? So it wasn't to the degree we have it today. Do you agree or disagree with him, Greg?
Yeah, I think I agree with some of the stuff there. I'm not sure about the other stuff, but I can't tell
Andy,
you either one.
what do you think?
I'm somewhat neutral on what he said, but because I agree with it is a B2B engine, and where we seem to have gotten in this polarizing argument that we're in right now is when we started dictating terms around marketing.
Bingo. So that's the thing. So what I'm saying is, the cooperative, you want to talk MLS cooperative, that's fine. This isn't my opinion. This is the general counsel of RE/MAX, right? Which at the time, and still is one of the most important companies in the industry. I think the important thing that he says is, look, the MLS was designed in the following way. You go get a client.
Well, you help me sell listing and my listing. I'll help you sell yours,
That's
and we'll both get paid. The both get paid part is out, right?
That part is out, and even the whole like I hope you sell my listing. That's all also out after we got rid of sub-agency. Okay, that's a whole separate conversation. I'm just saying the core assumption is, hey man, you go get a client, and then in order to serve that client, you can use the MLS all you want, and all my data's in there, all your data's in there. For you to serve your client, this is the cooperative. But what he said is the important part is, but the idea here is not, you just get in the MLS and then you use all of the cooperative's listings to go get a client. That was never part of the deal, is what he's saying. Okay? So all this fight over IDX and portals and previews and all this stuff, fundamentally, what are we talking about? We're talking about lead generation. Right? what else are we talking about here?
Part of it, that's what IDX came from. It's like, okay, they had
Sure.
that construct, but the internet came. How do we
Right.
morph that construct
Right.
into this world? Right.
Right.
And that's
right.
the birth of IDX in a sense.
It
right?
is, and it was a mistake. The MLS never should have done it, but it's water under the bridge. I'm just saying today, I just look at it as real simple. If you're going to stress the brokers are cooperative, then you need to take Jeff Lewis's words real seriously. Is the MLS something that you use in order to get clients, or is the MLS something you use after you get a client?
Well, again, it's depends on that because I mean, is making a CMA helpful for me to get a client?
Yes.
Okay, so that's not advertising though, but I can use the MLS in a certain manner by collecting data, analyzing data, put in a report to help me get business, right? It doesn't have to be. You're just saying you're adding advertising, but it's always been a way to help brokers get business. Of course, it has been.
No, it hasn't.
Yes, it
The
has.
MLS
I just explained how it how it does
Greg,
with the CMA.
Then you should argue with Jeff Lewis, right? Jeff Lewis,
Okay,
no, the MLS
who
was
cares
never
about
a way
Jeff
for you
Lewis?
to
Is
go
he even
get
around
business.
anymore? He's
Right,
probably
right. So
working
your
at
point is
Walmart.
right. So your point now is in the modern interpretation of the MLS.
No, you can make CMAs. I mean, I've been in the CMA business forever. You can make CMAs back in the freaking 80s.
Okay, fine.
So
but
they were using the MLS back in the 80s to help them get business.
You don't think there's a difference between CMA and IDX website?
Again, I'll go Rob Hanna on you, right? Okay, here's this. Well, it's making business. It's generating business. They're both generating business activities. So what are you talking about, Rob?
Okay. I mean, I think in order for me to give someone a CMA, I have to generate that lead in the first place.
As much as I love hearing you guys
it could
argue,
be your sister.
Yeah,
You
I want to
generate
hear
lead from your
Andy's
sister.
Andy's perspective on this. I mean, Greg's just wrong, so he needs to.
I almost don't want to break up the argument because these are my favorite parts of your podcast. But well, Rob, so you seem to suggest.
Well, hold
that
on. Let's
ADX
just Andy. Do you agree that you can use the MLS without advertising to generate business?
Yes,
Has that been a function of the
Greg's
MLS?
camp on this one. I'm gonna pick sides equally. Well, maybe we should have a scorecard in the back. So, but I want to. Rob was kind of implying that IDX is what got us into this current predicament. I don't know if you were directly.
I'm not implying
Okay.
it. I'm stating.
Okay,
IDX
so
is what
I disagree with that because IDX started. Well, first of all, I've never seen a topic in the last 25 years of being in this business, 30 years of being in this business, become so polarizing as this one, right? And if you think about like the biggest things that we've dealt with, so we had IDX in 99, 2000, right? That was polarizing, didn't become this polarizing, right? Then we had VOW 2008, I think was the DOJ consent decree. We had value range pricing in there somewhere, maybe not as big of an issue as
that
this.
was way earlier, but yeah,
and short-lived. And then we had clear cooperation in 2000, right? So prior to 2000, we had mandatory submission, not an MMA thing.
it wasn't 2000. It was
mandatory
not 2000.
submission is not an MMA term. It's mandatory submission into the MLS system, and we had that for many. And by the way, I'm not poo-pooing CCP. I don't want anyone to perceive that I'm an anti-clear cooperation person, but what I will say is we had mandatory submission rules where you could have an office exclusive. So under mandatory submission, the suggested time frame was 48 hours. It was up to the MLSs what they implemented. And you could have an exempt listing or an office exclusive, and there were no restrictions on. You could publicly market that, and you did. So what CCP changed was if you're publicly marketed, it's got to be in the MLS system available to everyone within 24 hours. And as much as I agreed and continue to agree with some aspects of CCP, I'm kind of going to take the Rob Hahn, what is your term of strong principles loosely held?
Yes.
Right?
Strong opinions.
I think strong opinions loosely held. Like I had a strong opinion on CCP for a long time, but now that I see where we are in this, how polarizing this argument has become, if you track it back,
why is it polarizing? That's the question.
Why is it polarizing? Yeah, that's a great question. And part of why it's polarizing is this different perception. Private listings are one thing. Pre-marketed listings are a different thing. We tend to lump them all into one category and then argue over that category, and people retreat to their sides.
Is Compass stopping private listings?
Compass, not to my knowledge, no.
Yeah. So okay.
but in general, we take this conversation, we lump all of it into one conversation. And when Hannah List was announced, as an example, recently, the headline on Inman was Howard Hanna creates a private listing network. I'm pretty sure if you ask Howard Hanna if they created a private listing network, their answer is going to be no, because it's not a private listing network. The listings are being entered into Hanna's system and being distributed simultaneously downstream to the MLS system. Okay, so I think I'm answering the question of why is this so polarizing. Part of the reason is we're not really. Many times we're having this argument. We're not even arguing about the same things, right?
No.
So I look back and I think
it's all Fugazi here. I mean, it's from one guy. That's why we're having this whole thing.
It's not all from one guy.
This is so
Greg.
ridiculous, Greg. You're ignoring what the MLS did for 40 years, and it's this guy's fault. Like, come on now.
Well, Andy just laid out like we didn't have anything like this, and for all these other initiatives, this is.
So I think what it boils down to is the trying to control. Yes, listings should be submitted into the MLS system, right? When you take it, shared amongst the cooperative.
Why?
Because to be a broker cooperative, there has to be certain rules.
I understand, but why? Why should a broker have to enter a listing?
No,
into
they
the
can
MLS?
not join the MLS, Rob. That's the
Okay.
I know it's a labor union.
Join the MLS then.
You think it's a labor
Rob,
union?
that's a fair point. That's a fair point. And under mandatory submission,
they have rankings of the brokers, how long you've been
This
there.
is the thing.
All that
Greg
kind
is
of
so Greg is so involved in like labor union talk and tribes and us versus them. You're missing the point that I'm trying to make. Okay, the issue here is not this rule or that rule or whatever the fuck. The issue is, what do you use? What is the use case? What is the use of this listing? What is the use of this data? You should be familiar with this from a vendor standpoint, right? There's like all sorts of copyright stuff, but it depends on the usage, right? You make a difference between commercial usage versus non-commercial use, as an example, in copyright. I'm saying for the MLS listing, why must the broker enter a listing into the MLS? And to me, the answer depends on what will it be used for. If it will be used for client service, that is cooperation. That is 100% valid.
My thanks again for Catality for sponsoring industry relations. You know that feeling, don't you? As an agent, you're starting from a blank listing form, wading through endless data entry, trying to remember every tiny detail from that property tour. It's a grind that eats up your valuable time you could be spending with clients. What if you could flip the script? Cotality is here to help with its new AI-powered Matrix Listing Manager. It's the next evolution in creating listings, built on their powerful core AI platform. Forget hours of painstaking work. Now tasks that used to take forever can be done in minutes. Their new Listing Manager uses cutting-edge AI to help agents create richer, more accurate listings so they can focus on building relationships instead of wrestling with data. Here's how it works. An agent can start a listing right from their iPhone with the MLS Touch app. They can use their voice to add notes as they walk through the property and let the AI automatically tag photos and capture room dimensions with incredible accuracy. The best part, everything captured in the field syncs instantly, so it's waiting for them back at their desk. And because it's available as a standalone module, it can integrate with any MLS platform, giving MLSs and brokers the flexibility to populate listings across multiple MLSs while keeping all their data in one place. MLSs, reach out to your Cotality rep today and get a demo. Thanks again to Cotality for sponsoring industry relations.
Let me give you an example of what I mean by taking it this way, okay? Is it your belief, Greg? Forget coming soon. Private exclusive listing, okay? Pocket listing. I have this listing in my pocket.
Right.
Okay? A buyer's agent calls me up, okay, and says, I have a buyer. He might be interested in your house, right?
How do you find out?
Who cares how I found out?
So it's an agent within the office.
No.
This is a private listing.
No, I understand. It's a pocket listing. Some agent finds out somewhere, right, and says, I would like to know about it. Okay. Do you believe that listing agent would say, no, I can't tell you because you're not in my office?
I believe that Compass actually you have to sign a form in order and say that you're going to cooperate with them to do that. Just like I think on Zillow, if you want to, they enter an agreement. If you want to see this thing, that you have to
just
you have to
answer the
agree to
question.
their
Do you think the
terms.
listing agent would say, of course, here's the house. What information do you need?
I don't know whatever the firm they're with might have some rules about that.
Let me phrase it differently.
And I bet they're all different too.
Let me phrase it differently. If that listing agent at that point refuses to share information, he is in breach of fiduciary duty to his seller.
Yeah, that's something they
Right?
should look at for sure.
Fine. That's number one. Number two, okay? In other words, if you
I mean,
already,
the other thing was like you can come and look at it, but only if you come to my office and look at my magazine.
yeah, that's because the MLS forced them to do that. What are you talking about?
Okay, well, I mean, is that
If we didn't have those rules, man, it would have been on Homes and Zillow and all this stuff.
again,
all
if we don't
along.
have rules, it's just chaos, right? I mean, the rules are the reason. The rules are that's the reason, not the bad thing.
Again, you're just confusing usage cases. My point is this: I believe and here's the thing, and I will agree 100% with this. If you are a listing agent or a listing broker, and your seller says, "Here, I want you to market it privately," okay, and some random buyer agent calls up and says, "I'm looking for a house kind of like this. Do you have something for sale?" And you fail to say, "Hey, my seller has this exclusive listing that perfectly fits your criteria." You have breached your fiduciary duty, and you should be sued, and you should probably lose your license. Okay? Because
we might be seeing some of those lawsuits soon. We'll see what happens.
And if that happens, fucking fantastic. Because I'm looking at it as the seller did not give you this house to sell so that you could play some data games. Seller gave you this house to sell his goddamn house. Okay? So number one, cooperation to me means if some agent, some buyer shows up and says, "I'm looking for a house," you say, "Here's the house." Okay? For the MLS to say mandatory submission, it is only justified if it supports cooperation. The issue is IDX, marketing, all these things have to do with lead generation. And that is not what I don't believe. I believe that is not what brokers have signed up for. And I say that not because I'm some whatever wackadoodle. I'm saying that was Jeff Lewis back not that long ago, y'all, right? 2000, 2007. And at the time, what Congress was debating, if you remember, was they were debating whether the MLS should be made a public utility, right? And you say, you know what? The internet thing, whatever, is so important. So we're going to force the MLS to divulge all their data to the internet, to the world, right? And all of that. And the industry said, hail to the no. We built it. We're the ones who are generating data for it. We're the ones who are doing this. We're not a public utility. This is a B2B cooperative. And the cooperative meant we exist to help each other service their clients. We do not exist so that you could just do lead generation off of this data. Okay? IDX was a mistake because it went the lead generation route. And I understand why they did it. Because at the time, if you all remember, we're all old enough to remember, what the industry was terrified of was like the rise of the portals. And it wasn't Zillow and Homes.com. It was Realtor.com back then. It was Microsoft.com. They were worried about these internet...
Home seekers.
Well, yeah, they were worried about these portals putting all these listings on the internet, not through IDX, through syndication feeds. And they were like, our brokers have to be able to market on the internet as well. They need to be able to create websites. All the data is here in the MLS. Let's create a mechanism by which they could do that. Perfectly understandable. Perfectly. The question they didn't ask at that time, though, was, is this something we, the MLS, should do? Okay.
Right. Okay.
I don't think it was IDX. I don't think it was IDX that caused this problem. I think it's being too restrictive or getting into the way that brokers are marketing and agents are marketing the property, right? And there's many MLSs that are doing excellent work right now to adapt their rules and to make them more like they were prior to CCP when there was mandatory submission. So the focus is on, let's make sure the listing gets into the MLS. Once it's in the MLS, it's available to the cooperative, and let's create flexible rules around how it's then marketed, right? MRED's done a great job with this. Bright has done a great job with this. Austin has done a great job with this with Flex. Although, with some of these, we can't, there's no way, the MLS doesn't facilitate the pre-marketing listings getting to homes.com. So we're talking to those MLSs about, hey, make homes.com a publishing option when someone enters a pre-market listing and they want to market that on. Where I have a problem is when an MLS says, no, we're not going to give our agents an option to market. Even though public marketing has no restrictions, we're not going to give an agent an option to market their property on a national website when it's in pre-marketing. That doesn't make sense to me.
And from a business person standpoint, I totally get that's the approach. My issue is this, and you ought to know this. Let's say you go and convince one of those MLSs, you know what? Liberalize the rules, okay? And they say, you know what, Andy, you're right. We're going to liberalize the rules.
They've already liberalized the rules.
I understand. So take MRED or Bright or whoever, right? Like already liberalized. You're like, this is the way it ought to be, right? And then the board changes. And they tighten the rules again, right? My point is, like, I get it from a business standpoint, you just want to achieve the objective. My point is, y'all never should have had that power in the first place to liberalize or tighten the rules. In the first place, this is outside of your jurisdiction.
We don't have the power to liberalize rules.
No, I know. No, I know you don't. What I'm saying is the MLS board does.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So my point is, at a level of principle, right, I believe the move has to be, hey, MLS, you actually shouldn't be involved with lead gen and marketing at all. At all.
No, I think they do a good job facilitating the distribution of listings to marketing channels at the direction of the agent.
But they don't, because they have all these rules. If you were just facilitating, you would just be a pass-through.
Where I think where we differ here is, I think MLSs do a great job at facilitating the decisions made by the seller and executed by the agent, right?
How?
But where they get into trouble is when they dictate what those marketing rules are going to be. And to me, you think the pivotal moment was IDX. I think the pivotal moment, unfortunately, was CCP, even though I think that was the right decision at the time. I think that's where we are today, because brokers do not want to be told how to market their listings. Their obligation is to their seller. And if something interferes with that obligation, Greg, go back to 20 years ago. We launched Remax.com together, right? Going into that, I didn't understand the brokerage world. I only understood the MLS world, right? Then we had to work with a brokerage to deliver what their needs were in the confines of how the MLS world worked, right? And we sort of sat in between trying to represent to the MLSs, represent to the MLSs, this is what the brokerage wants, right? And adapt to serve the broker, and then go to the broker and say, this is what the IDX will allow, right? And I learned a lot during that process of like the difference between what a broker wants and what MLS will allow, right? And unfortunately, right now we're just too polarized. The solutions are in the middle here, and there are solutions. This is not a terribly complex
This
issue.
is a good segue. Let's talk about Zillow Preview a little bit, because we haven't talked about that. And so, so from what I understand, they have a new status on Zillow. It's called Zillow Preview, and these are, and I guess in Andy's language, these would be the pre-marketing status here.
They're
right?
the coming soons.
Yeah. So currently, I had a call with Errol just right before the call, our thing here. And the way that I understand it is that they have a way for agents and brokers, a listing input method for them to put it in there. They will also accept feeds, right? And it'll be only one photo and a limited amount of fields to do it. And as soon as, like Andy described with Homes.com, as soon as that listing hits the MLS, it is automatically removed, right? So now my observation of that is like, and also, which Rob pointed out and I did too, is that if that listing is sold to a flex agent, there will be a percentage of that commission shared back with the listing agent, right? So, and I think, Rob, you said this well. It's like, why would I might as well play the lotto and put all my listings on Zillow if I'm going to get paid. I don't think there's a paid component for you guys, Andy, right?
We don't take anything to begin with, so
That's the right answer. Okay.
you get 100%, not just 10%.
So yeah, exactly. That's great. That's a good line. That's the line you should use. Instead of sharing back a percentage, they get all of it. All right. Here's my question, though. And Andy, you've been doing this for forever, like I have. And I always like to say on the podcast, sometimes I come at these things with from building software companies, running software companies, right? So if the agent has to do anything, and I spend my whole life designing software where agents don't have to do anything, it's not going to work, right? So to me, this Zillow Preview thing is like, oh, the agent's got to do this? It's dead in the water, right? I mean, what kind of inventory are they going to get? Now, maybe they'll have some ways of getting feeds. He talked about that some agents or some MLSs have reached out to say maybe there's a a way they could change the status or modify a status so that it does come from the MLS, but there's no way of doing that now. But what say you guys? I mean, do you think this is this a nothing burger? Do you think there's going to be any activity here if the agents or the brokers have to put them in manually? What do you guys think?
I'm good with your dead in the water comment. I mean, why would I contradict that?
I think it's going to completely take over everything. Because, like, fine, agents don't like doing shit unless they're going to get paid for it. It's
such a small. I mean, if the requirements of the MLS, it's only on there for 2 days. They got a window of like if lightning strikes, they might actually sell it to.
Dude, I would leave the
right?
MLS.
Huh?
To your point, I would exit the MLS then. It's like, here's all my listings. I'm going to get 10% of every flex thing. Are you kidding? I'll put that in. What's the MLS paying me for my listings?
Let's talk for a second about why agents are pre-marketing, right? Why are they pre-marketing? They're doing it for a limited period of time. Maybe they're shooting the Matterport tour, or they're trying to get the Pal stage.
Well, that's what I believe it was done in the past. Now it's like they're weaponizing it, to use a frame from our.
First of all, they were weaponizing it back in 2013, 2014.
Okay, go ahead.
This is not a new phenomenon.
Okay, so in the pre-marketing phase, the things they want to be able to control days on market. They want to be able to control not showing price changes. We provide both of those options in our system, but they also want it. They're taking in demand signals to figure out, like, am I staging this property right? Is it being merchandised correctly? Is the price right? So it is ever more important during the pre-marketing phase that all those demand signals come directly to them. And that's why I think we're uniquely positioned to be attractive for pre-marketing, because the leads aren't diverted anywhere else. They go straight to the listing agent. In what Zillow announced, the contact agent button is going to go to the listing agent, but the schedule tour button is going to go into their lead referral network. And I think it's about 70-30. 70% of the leads go to schedule tour, 30% go to contact agent, right? So if I'm an agent, am I willing to, if I'm in pre-marketing, I'm trying to get all the demand signals, am I willing to lose control of my inquiries off to another agent? So I would question that part of it.
I mean, I would. I can't double end the deal anyway.
It's not about
I mean, it's like, no, you're right. But my point is, as a listing agent, I can get all the demand signals. I can get a sense of it. And if the buyer leads go somewhere else, I'm going to get paid on that. Happy to do it.
Let me ask you the question. Well, go ahead, Andy.
Okay, but we got to come back to that. Go ahead, Greg.
Sure.
And I asked this at the conference and to the legal update crew. If the MLS says, you know what we're going to do, from now on, we're not going to list days on market, and we're not going to publish days on market price changes, would this all go away? Would the 3 p.m. and all these things go away? Right? Because that's the big thing they're talking about, that will ever. And of course the answer is what? No, it would not go away, right?
Because that's not the original
there's something
sin.
Different. There's a real reason
Greg.
why they're fucking doing this.
Yeah, because
right?
the MLS should not be involved in lead gen and marketing.
Okay, the
It's
anarchist
a broker
is spoken.
cooperative,
Andy,
to your point.
And there are plenty of MLSs that are ARMLS, CRMLS starting March 31st is providing coming soon listings in their IDX feed. I actually wrote a bunch down because I didn't want, like Houston, Bright MLS, Miami, One Key. There's a lot of MLSs that are providing coming soon listings in their IDX feed, right? We can't give agents control over stopping the days on market clock and suppressing price history on those listings, because that would violate their rules. We can only give them control when the listing comes directly to us. So I think that is something that probably should be looked at, Greg. But can we go back to the
go ahead.
double ending thing? Because this drives me nuts. Your listing your lead is not about double ending listings. Okay, last time I drove through a neighborhood, I saw for sale signs in lawns for every house that was for sale. And every for sale sign always has the agent's name and the agent's phone number. Okay? If they didn't want phone calls on their own listings, they would stop putting lawn signs in, or they'd put somebody else's phone number on there. Okay? Why was it that prior to the internet, things like, I wrote some of these down, list to last, listings beget listings, listing is the ultimate lead generator. All of these are sayings that go back in history in real estate. And then suddenly we got into the digital world, And now everybody says, you're listing your lead is about double ending deals? Come on, that's ridiculous. And you could talk to every broker around the country, they would disagree that it's about double ending deals. It's about having control over your listing. And if you're sitting in a listing appointment, trying to get a listing, and the seller says to you, "Hey, are you gonna answer the phone when somebody calls you about my listing?" What's the agent gonna say? Oh, of course I'm gonna answer the phone.
Let me just squash this one. I think I misspoke a little bit. I was talking specifically about the Zillow Preview thing. I just don't think listing agents care that much, especially if they get paid on the buy side lead. Right. You might be right, Andy. No, hold on. You might be right, Andy, in which case they're not going to do that and they're going to just go to homes.com. Right. No, I'm not saying like it's about double ending deals, some evil shit. I'm just saying like if I'm a listing agent, I'm going to get paid to sell this house. Okay. If I get a buyer lead and if I don't have a team, especially, I don't care. If I have a team, then sure, send it out. Right. I'll distribute to the team. I can't help that buyer buy this house. Now I could maybe help that buyer buy some other house. So that conversation maybe is happening. So I'm not questioning any of that. I'm just saying if I'm not that concerned about it, at a minimum, I would love to get paid for that buyer lead that goes somewhere else. Because what happens today?
You're the attorney. Is that
I'm just
going to
saying,
be okay?
What happens today, I guess, is what I'm wondering, Andy. Right. So what happens today? So today it goes on IDX, it goes wherever. Some buyer contacts whatever agent. I'm not seeing any of that. Right. So this is improvement over today.
Okay, so I just want to. I'm not here to criticize Zillow, but I just want to understand this.
I'm agreeing with you in terms of the motivation and all that. Like that's fine.
Yeah,
I wasn't speaking against that.
I want to go to your point about they're now incentivizing listing agents to put listings into their system under previews, right? Which to me, I see is very different than what we're doing. We're not incentivizing agents to. We're not financially incentivizing agents to use our pre-marketing solution. So how does this 10% work? So if I sign a listing agreement, and I think most of the case still
have they
today,
said 10%? I haven't heard the actual number.
10% of I don't want to misrepresent. I don't work for them. Whatever. That's what I saw. 10%. So if I sign a listing agreement and I'm telling my listing agent it's 5% and I'm willing to share 2.5 of that with the buyer's agent. And then, so I out of my proceeds, I pay the listing agent, the buyer's agent gets paid, they pay Zillow, and 10% comes back to me. How does that, that sounds kind of crazy to me.
Follow-up boss is going to do it or some shit, right? Who knows?
But what do I tell my seller? I thought I was paying you 5%. Yeah, well, I thought I was paying you 2.5 of that 5%.
Well, they don't have to.
Yeah, well, I got a 10%. I got 10% juice on the other side.
So nobody knows anything.
Yeah, Andy, because NAR's delegate body rejected the motion, you don't have to disclose shit.
Let me say something about what
I got 10% juice because of where I listed your property. That's like, that sounds crazy, but
let's just talk about what kind of the underpinning things are about your listing your lead and what Zillow is doing also, right? So again, I've had strong opinions loosely held to me as well on this, and
yours ain't that loosely held, brother. But go ahead.
So, what I've become to kind of my thought process of going to this, and it goes back to our days at Remax, launching Remax.com back in the day, Andy, is that while I think there are a lot of, in a sense, I'll use the word noble things about your listing your lead, right? It's just a bad business model compared to what Zillow has. Because what we've learned is that there's a specialized group of people that can handle online leads, and it takes a dedicated effort to do that. And most listing agents are not really set up for that. And that's what ends up happening. It was like at Remax when we launched that. I remember we were in that war room we created. We saw all these leads coming in, and we reported back 85% were not answered.
Yeah.
Right. And what Zillow's done a good job with, and again, it's a business model thing. I'm not talking about whether it's the right thing to do, but from a business model perspective, is that they used to do it to all agents. They said, well, that's not fucking working. That's ruining our brand because they're not answering them. And they started going to super agents and then teams and whatever. And now they're really specializing. If you don't perform, you're out.
Yep.
Right? So they've really harnessed that kind of business model. I just don't. Now, again, your business model isn't, just selling these enhancements and things, and that's its own thing. That's a market. There's a market there. But I think, what they've proved here so far is it's a lot more lucrative business model that they're doing, although it comes with consequences, right?
Lucrative to who?
To Zillow.
Zillow.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
$1.5 billion
talking about business models. I'm talking, like I said, I think that your agent, your listing your lead is a noble thing, but I mean, it's when we're talking business models, we got to change it up a bit here, right? And again,
Well,
like Dupree says, even if you go on the whole traffic thing, and we can say you're number 2 or number 3 or whatever, it's not like you're not taking things away. It's more additive than anything. People are still going to all these sites, right? So that's not the game to win either, right? It's tough. It's I don't envy you guys in the portal business at all.
I know we're not going to turn this into a Rogan 2.5-hour podcast, so I'll try to be concise.
Hey, we can.
I'll try to be concise, and we're not going to settle the debate over the business models in 30 seconds or a minute. Yeah. As of our last earnings report, we have over 30,000 Homes.com members now. We've been selling the product for less than 2 years. You've been around this industry forever. What product has scaled that quickly, right? 30,000 subscribers paying more than a couple $100s a month to advertise their listings in a model that hasn't existed since internet marketing was created, right? So
right.
We're changing the way that people understand how to advertise on the internet, and that doesn't happen overnight, but it's happened pretty damn quickly, right? And I think it's a lazy thing for all of us to just say, listing agents aren't going to call back their own, because before the internet, that's how all business was done. You put a sign on the lawn, you put an ad in the newspaper. None of those were advertising a phone number that went into a referral network, right? So yes, that's what the business shifted to. We're trying to shift it back to some sanity. I'm not saying that both models can't coexist, but I think if you're an agent trying to build your business, owning your own funnel is superior to somebody else owning the funnel and you just renting leads out of it.
Okay, so let's you want to wrap up here, Rob?
I don't even know how to wrap this one up.
I was thinking we do winners and losers for the week here.
Okay.
Right? I mean,
I'll put my hat back on for this.
Sure.
So let's do a winners and losers for the week. And I'm talking, if we take everything in aggregate, the Zillow, the Compass Redfin deal, the Zillow deal, and the EXP deal. We have Andy here. I'll start with you, Rob. Who are the winners and who are the losers of this week with all these announcements being made?
The winners are all the companies that you named. I think, generally speaking, the winners are the larger companies that have a database and a data feed. Losers are everybody that doesn't. The losers are the MLS, or total losers out of this. That's how I see it.
Yeah, Andy?
Well, clearly Homes.com is the winner. What else am I going to say, Greg?
This isn't like a race, where there's only one winner. There's multiple.
Yeah,
winners.
I don't think you can determine.
You guys
the
are
winners
winners.
Yet,
Zillow's a winner. Redfin's a winner. Compass a winner. EXP's a winner. All of them are winners.
And one thing I hope that comes out of this as a winner is we stop the polarization of this and we come together. These are solutions that have been introduced. Let's build on those. A lot of MLSs are doing great work on this. Let's research what they're doing. Let's find the common ground like we always manage to do in this industry, but let's stop being polarized on this subject.
I mean, I guess to me it's it's just that there's one loser, and that's the MLS. That's what I
for sure. Yeah, the MLS is definitely a loser. And we didn't even get into the fact that Zillow has an ad edit. What?
Homes.com. I mean, they're doing listing input also. I mean, it's by a feed, but it's.
I mean,
no. I mean, there's a bright line that was crossed, for sure.
If we're advertising listings and we can't get that listing facilitated to us from the MLS, we have to find a way to get it.
I'm in no way blaming you or Zillow or anybody. I'm simply pointing out. Oh, Zillow has an ad edit.
Yeah.
Oh. That's all.
Well, it's the fifth seal in the seven seals of the universe falling, right? Yeah. So it's that. What is it in the Marvel speak? It's Infinity Stone. one Infinity Stone is put back in there. We're only 2 missing, and then they have total control.
I think the MLS could totally survive all this. I think the could be just totally fine if they would, wake up and start doing some shit correctly. We've had decades of it going the wrong way, so just reverse it. That's all. The MLS is still incredibly valuable. It's not like brokers and agents just want to leave it or anything. It's just you're forcing people away.
Yeah.
So just cut that out and you'll be fine. Like, anyway,
I mean, that's one way. I mean, to me, I would say to every MLS, it's like got some rules is find the shit out of everybody. Anybody breaking a rule, find the shit out of them. That's where I would start.
Oh, because you have so much power to do all that now. All right. Zillow has an editor. Have I mentioned that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Find a way. See how that works out. All right. Let's wrap there. Thank you all for listening to us yammer. Andy, thank you very much for the
Thanks,
conversation.
guys, for
Great
having
job. You are a credit to the industry. I know
You
that
are.
having you there at homes.com is just the best thing, and I hear that from MLX after MLX. What a great job you're doing.
And just
Thanks,
just
guys.
want to point out simply the fact that he agreed to come on in this relations, because this is not known to be like the friendliest,
I gave him the option of coming on Listing Bits, and he's
Yeah. We're not inside Actor Studio over here, So the fact that you came, I think, is a credit to you and to the organization. I'll say that.
I enjoy tussling with you guys. It's fun. I enjoy listening to you as well. So thank you for your podcast.
Awesome.
They're entertaining.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.